Coming to you from the Malace TV studios in Troy, Michigan, this is the Malace Cast.
All right, we're back. Welcome to the Malace Cast. I'm LJ.
I'm Sarah.
And today we've got a lot to talk to you about, but before we do, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, as well as our pages on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Well, Sarah, we've taken a little bit of a break, and now we're back in the studio. Why don't you fill us in? What's been going on here?
We've had a busy summer. So we did a couple cool things, cool initiatives this year. We did an on-site job fair. Okay. So we brought some folks in. We had it basically, it wasn't just like you come in, we give you a job. It was, let's help you with your resume. Let's help you with your interviewing skills and such. So that was pretty cool. We also had some games out there and food trucks. Like, it was a pretty cool event.
Yeah, lots of hot dogs.
Lots of hot dogs.
Yeah,
I know you're a big fan.
Big fan of hot dogs.
Big hot dog
donuts.
guy.
It was kind of a weird combo now that I think about it. But it was good. Yeah, hot dogs and donuts.
We had the second annual Connie Malace Classic for the Scleroderma Foundation, which was a beautiful, perfect day, and we were able to raise a bunch of money for a cause that's near and dear to us.
Yeah, it got a little bit easier this year.
Substantially
instead
easier.
of just trying to figure it out and shooting from the hip, it seemed like this year everything went a little bit smoother, and I anticipate that's going to be the trend moving forward.
Yes, we have learned a lot. What else have we been doing around here?
We've gotten some new people on the team. We've been
finding people jobs.
Yeah, it's kind of what we do. No, but we did take a little break. I felt like I just needed a little creative kind of, reset here. So wanted to kick it off today with something fun. Marketing, our favorite thing, at least Andrew's favorite thing. So wanted to go over a few big things that have happened recently in Detroit, and primarily the whales are back.
We love the whales.
Yes, huge fan of the whales. The whales were on the Broderick Tower, and then for years they were kind of this symbolic, beautiful painting that you'd see during Tigers games. And for some reason or another, over the last year, they had covered it up with this advertisement, and it was a bunch of smiley faces. It just did not have the same effect. And it's crazy because these whales are from the artist Weiland, and there's actually 100 different buildings. They're known as whaling walls around the world. So we got our whales back, and man, I am happy about it.
Pretty excited about the whales.
Yep.
Not excited about the Visit Ohio.
Yeah, I don't know who would ever visit Ohio.
And who would even think that anybody in Detroit would be up for that?
Part of me feels like they're taunting us. You don't just put a Visit Ohio billboard in the middle of Detroit. I might have to, and actually, I'd be following the advice of the advertisement. I was going to say I might have to visit Ohio and see if there's any Detroit signs, but then I'm letting them win. I'm letting them win. I can't let the Ohio.
Nothing good about Ohio.
Yeah, Michigan has beat them the last 2 years, and it's going to be a third year this year. So I'm really enjoying those victories, and don't really want to participate in that campaign. But what else we got here?
So we did some research, and we dug up because we're really liking our billboards around here lately. And, I was surprised to see that about $493 million go into billboards for local businesses.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, so whether it's events happening or, just...
Or Jomana.
Yeah,
or a lawyer, one of the Mike Morris or the Bernsteins. I mean, these people, they have so many billboards. I mean, and they must work,
Yeah.
And then if you drive down Detroit, I mean, it's then the other half is cannabis and everything else,
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me to see that because I've always wondered. I'd be like, these billboards on these highways are extremely expensive, but they must be working.
Mm-hmm. Well, people aren't watching TV as much anymore like they used to, so those commercials aren't touching as many households because everybody's streaming everything now.
That's a good point. A good point.
It does pay. We always used to see those commercials on TV with the 1-800-CALL-SAM, and so you just knew that was automatic, and now they've got to put it out there for people who don't sit and watch TV anymore.
Right, and I mean, they're even putting football games. I mean, I know Michigan is on Peacock now. We just watched the Thursday night football game with the Lions on Amazon. So it makes sense to me. But what's kind of crazy is with as many billboards as we see out there, there's actually some states that don't allow it.
Really? Well, pretty states? Probably.
So the states that have the most billboards, I'll start with that. Florida, Texas, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So we're not just seeing things, we really do have some of the most billboards. But out of the states that don't allow it, it's Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, and Vermont.
Pretty states.
Yeah, pretty states, basically states with mountains and stuff. And the reason behind that is because, like you said, the scenery is way too beautiful to be putting signs up there. And I know there's been some issues in Alaska that they're trying to change that, but they've been pretty steadfast in their anti-billboard campaign there.
So what do you do to get around, you're doing billboards in every other state. What do you do to get around that there?
I don't know. Maybe put benches out or do have buses. I don't know. But it's funny because they say the number one marketing tool really is or ad campaign, I guess, is word of mouth. It's those recommendations, those referrals. So maybe people are just talking to others saying go to Alaska. But I also do find that hard to believe because there's 17 people that live there total. If I remember
Vermont,
correctly.
I think is a close.
Vermont, Bernie Sanders and his family are over there, and I think that's about it.
Some maple syrup folks.
What are some big campaigns that you remember, whether it was growing up or right now or whenever, that you've seen on TV, commercials, that kind of thing? What would you say some of the best ones out there were?
I always, everybody always appreciates the Super Bowl commercials.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So that's kind of where my mind goes to with that. I always liked the stuff that Budweiser put out long before I was able to drink. But, the Clydesdales and then the little dog. And, they did a bunch of cool stuff. What else? Coca-Cola with their bears and things like that.
I always found it weird because, I travel quite a bit around the world, and it's funny to me when you see, Coca-Cola. You'll go to a country where there's no signs in any English, but it's Coca-Cola's out there,
right.
And even brands like Burger King or McDonald's. I mean, the brand is the same, and I always think that's kind of interesting because if we had a fast food restaurant here, or we had some sort of product that was just in a totally different language. I think about Asia, totally different language than us, but yet there's an English McDonald's or an English whatever, It's kind of mind-blowing.
It's funny you say that. I went to Mexico when I was 18 for my spring break, so, I knew nothing about nothing, but
really?
I knew Pringles. They had Pringles cans, so I ate a lot of Pringles in Mexico.
Yep.
Why that goes hand in hand for me, I don't know, but I just knew it, so I'm like, this is safe, this is fine.
Well, and, and a lot of the flavors in other countries are totally different. I know outside of America, Cool Ranch Doritos is Cool American Doritos. And I don't know if that's because they don't have ranch. I've never been a big ranch person myself.
I'm not either. Have a couple folks in my life who are big ranch people and very particular about said ranch, but not really been a thing for me. So I guess I don't really pay attention to that too much. But even if you go back to some of the old ad campaigns that, remember the Got Milk? That was such a big deal.
Yep.
Every celebrity in the world had the little milk mustache or whatever.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because I knew we were going to be potentially talking about Got Milk because it's a huge campaign. It's gone back 25 and probably one of the most famous campaigns ever. And so I did a little bit of research, and they were saying that when they were initially starting to get the Got Milk campaign going, they actually had a focus group, and for a week, this focus group was told not to use milk. And one of the participants even went out and said, I woke up in the morning, I went to I got a bowl of cereal, I did my banana on top. He goes, I went to get the milk, and I realized that I can't have this. He's either going to break the rules and lie, or he's actually going to follow through with what they asked. Mm-hmm. And it sounded like multiple participants had similar stories to that guy, and they discovered that milk is really kind of a foundational product within American life. And somebody said, hey, you got milk? And that's how it all.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that. My son would lose his dang mind if he didn't have milk. I like it, but he is injected in his veins kind of kid.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, and then on top of the Got Milk stuff, I think of Flo from Progressive as a huge
all
thing.
the insurance ones.
Yeah.
Now they even the Flo has what's his name, Jamie, who's the little kind of.
I don't even know his name, so you must really be paying attention.
Yeah, well, it's the little Weasley guy or whatever, and now he's got his own commercial, and she's not even in it, and they are making a universe there.
They are. It's gonna be a little mini Marvel over there. Yeah, and how about Dos Equis,
Oh gosh, that was so brilliant with the
most interesting man in the world.
Most interesting man, yeah. That was like you just wanted to see what the next one was because they were so clever.
Yeah, it was great. And then the Old Spice where he'd come breaking through a wall on a horse and all these things would be happening. I mean, there were some really great campaigns. And part of me, I shed a metaphorical tear, if you will, when they got rid of the most interesting man in the world and the Old Spice stuff, because those were actually some pretty fun commercials to watch.
Well, do you think that they get rid of them so that they can bring them back eventually?
Well, I think they're probably paying these people a ton of money.
Oh, yeah,
they're like, you know what, we need a new. There's got to be more interesting people out there. But you know what's funny is this is kind of an interesting story internationally, but they in Japan. So I love Japan. Tokyo is my favorite city in the world, and I remember when I was there, our tour guide was telling us one of the funny staples of Japanese culture is that every Christmas, Japanese people go out and they get buckets of KFC. And I was
okay.
I was a little like pretty random,
All right. Coleslaw on
Kentucky,
Christmas.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, like a Kentucky Christmas in Japan. And in talking to them about this, only 1% of Japanese people are Christians. So from a religious standpoint, they're not necessarily celebrating Christmas, but they do, and socially, they still get together, give presents, that kind of stuff. But they really didn't have any traditions. And a local KFC franchise owner saw that there wasn't anything, special that Japanese people do on Christmas. So he went out and started a campaign that said, in America, everyone on Christmas goes out and gets KFC. It stuck, and now every year, this happened in the 1970s, every year since then, that week leading up to Christmas is like the #1 most profitable week in Japan for KFC. They have advertisements, they've got the Colonel Sanders posted up all throughout Tokyo, dressed like Santa, and I think we probably have a few of those commercials that we'll cut to that you can see as well. But it's a fascinating concept, because if you were in America and you invited me over for Christmas, you're like, yeah, just bring the food, and I brought over like a bucket of KFC, you're gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
My mom would never.
like not today.
Leave now.
Right.
Yeah, I've never really been a big KFC person. I give them credit for the marketing campaign over there. I'm sure it works. My favorite fast food situation over here is the Wendy's roasts.
Oh, the Wendy's roasts.
You have to tune in or check Twitter or X or whatever the heck it's called now, and you have to see what they're saying.
Right.
You have to be a part of it, and we have some of the better ones on here. Yo play yogurt. So Yoplait had actually put on here to roast me, and Wendy's replied with, "Dear women laughing in your yogurt commercials, blink twice if you need help." Talk about Wendy's having our values or sharing our values. So there's this one. It's just a picture, but at Wendy's, everybody's happy. Literally anywhere else in Ohio, it's dark and dank and scary. We hate Ohio.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because now you see other companies partner or trying to be roasted or trying to jump in, but it's an interesting form of advertising that didn't exist, 15 years ago. I mean, how long is Twitter's been out since 2009-ish.
Yeah.
But still, it wasn't like companies were roasting. You're almost going against everything that advertisers are saying you should be doing and going after your customers online,
Can we unleash Andrew with our Twitter handle and just have him start roasting people?
Yeah. You have to run that through the legal department probably. I don't know. It sounds like a lawsuit.
I'm here for it.
So yeah, the one thing that I thought was the kind of the craziest thing that's happened over this summer was the combination of Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Barbieheimer.
Yeah, Barbenheimer. And really weird, totally different movies. I did see both of them. And Barbie's a fun, it's just it's your typical what you'd expect of a Barbie movie. You know, it's lots of flashy colors, comedy, big names, and then Oppenheimer is like half the movie is in black and white, and we're talking about developing a weapon of mass destruction. It's a total drama, and to see the absolute polar opposites of one another joining forces, and I think it actually helped both movies blow up. I believe Oppenheimer was only supposed to make $400 million, and they've doubled that at least at the last time I checked, and Barbie is well over $1 billion, obviously.
Yeah, that's a juggernaut right there.
Yeah, so get ready for the Barbie universe.
Yeah.
Maybe the next movie they invent the nuclear bomb. I don't know.
Well, that'd be it's probably going to be pink.
Probably, oh my God.
He drops from the
Bath bombs.
Barbie helicopter.
Right. So, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up, where is my notes on this? This is incredible. Recently, I don't know if you've seen this. Actually, I know you've seen this. The newest celebrity power couple, super couple, if you will, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Yeah. And some of these stats regarding Travis Kelce are actually insane. So he has, since they have started dating, I think they're dating, I don't know. Since they've started hanging out
together. She showed up at the game.
Essentially. Yeah. He's seen a 400% spike in jersey sales. He's added over 380,000 followers on Instagram. And for the NFL, there was a 63% jump in the female demographic between 18 and 49, and Kelsey's podcast is number 1. So I guess what I'm saying is the way to get our ratings up here is for me to just straight up date Taylor Swift.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, but today's your last day.
Well, no. I completely understand, and I'm a Swiftie myself, so I will step aside for her grace. But, she's just a force, man. Like, there was a stat the other day that she's added $6 billion to the global economy just because of her tour.
Right.
I mean, and she's just touring, you know?
And what's crazy is I think if I recall, I mean, she put at the end of her most recent tour, she had given $50 million or something along those lines to all the workers who work for her, and I was like $50 million. I mean, I know she's a celebrity, and that's still a ton of money. But then I looked, and she's at $750 million billionaire. You know, I mean, she is worth a ton of money, and her fan base is extremely loyal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she even does really cool things that, she doesn't, I don't think she does it for attention, but, she gives all of the people who work on her tour medical benefits. So, like, her truck drivers, her crews, things like that would usually be kind of like a gig situation. She makes sure that they have medical benefits allowed to them, and she puts them up in these fancy hotels so they're just not sleeping in the back of their trucks and things like that. So she really does a good job. Obviously, I know her personally, and she tells me these things. But she really does a good job of taking care of her people, and obviously they take care of her.
Well, and I think it's funny because you're hearing about all the Swifties now discovering for the first time Travis Kelce, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get him on the map." I'm like, this guy is like one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the NFL. He's won 2 Super Bowls. The guy is on the microphone all the time, and I don't necessarily know a single Taylor Swift song, but
you do.
Maybe.
If I started humming along with "Shake It Off," you'd be like, "Oh,
okay, well, maybe
shoulder going."
Maybe, but it's a totally different exposure. Do you think the NFL is going to require more players to date pop stars? Is that the new thing?
It's kind of a win-win. I think
it really is.
I can't say that I would date Travis Kelce, but Josh Allen. Come on over.
I think he's taken.
Maybe we can channel our Malace cast fame into some reason for me to be at a Bills game again, and maybe I can make it work.
Yeah, maybe he can be a guest. I don't know.
I wonder if his mom is there. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he is literally dating somebody. Yeah, that's what happens when you get on the cover of Madden.
Oh, Joshy.
So crazy stuff. Maybe we'll see more of this happening if people are looking to increase their jersey sales. But what about the worst marketing campaigns? What are some things that really stick out to you that it's just terrible?
Well, remember, there was a few years ago, Gap decided after 20 years they were going to change their logo. And then it was an uproar.
Didn't that last for literally a week?
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, nope, sorry, psych. We're going to go back. And so that was a weird one for me. I'm not really a big social media person, so I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I remember hearing all the uproar for the Kendall Jenner like Pepsi
yeah.
ad or whatever.
Yep.
Which also directed traffic towards it because it was such a train wreck. Everybody had to see it. It was just that kind of negative publicity. But.
Yeah, I think that was during some of the BLM protests,
Yeah.
and I think they viewed it as you were minimizing what they were going after, and it kind of ties into the current Bud Light situation where they're seeing a huge drop in sales. I think it looks like they've had a nearly 30% plunge in core profits during the second quarter, and they lost their spot as the number one beer in America. And I mean, all this tells me is that, hey, we need to focus on selling our products and maybe stick out of the, controversial political stuff, because I don't think people want to hear it.
Didn't work very well for them.
No, not at all. Not at all. And then Reebok had cheat on your girlfriend, not your workout. That's an interesting one.
Oh man, I can only imagine the table of women sitting there hearing that, like, this is our pitch, and just being like, oh, jeez.
Well, and that's the thing to me is it's like, there's everybody is sitting at, there has to be a big boardroom. These are billion-dollar companies, and that means that somebody or a group of people are all sitting at a table and looking at each other and saying, yeah, this is a great idea.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Can you imagine?
I watched Mad Men. Did you watch Mad Men at all?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Learned a lot about that. Of course, it was set back in the 50s or whatever,
Right.
but like the amount of work and focus that goes into coming up with the right things in these focus groups, it is mind-boggling to me that stuff can pass through and just be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. I know Dove had a couple that fell flat.
Yep.
It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
So it's just waters that you shouldn't be testing, in my opinion.
Well, and the way I look at it too is, companies are advertising differently in different countries, and so these are American companies trying to go after this certain political or whatever issue, right. But I highly doubt that they are doing the same thing in other countries. I don't think Pepsi's going to somewhere in Asia or Africa or whatever and then honing in on a political issue. Yeah. So if they're not doing it other places, maybe they need to relax here. So what's crazy is this year HubSpot did a little report, and currently the number one form, it isn't commercials, the number one form of advertising is not commercials, it's not billboards. It is literally short form videos like Reels and TikToks. And what are your thoughts on that? Where do you see that going?
I see it going nowhere as the elder millennial. I don't watch it.
Do you know what TikTok is?
TikTok?
Yeah.
I have a TikTok because people send me things, but everybody I know is like, oh gosh, I go down a TikTok wormhole, and so I'm like keeping myself from that.
Right.
But I do know it works on the youths. I just brought up my son, and he just sent me a thing for this. He wanted me to order him this like shirt and pants outfit thing, and I'm like, well, I don't even know what this is, and it's like $100 a piece for a t-shirt and shorts, and he's like, oh, I've been following this guy on TikTok, and I'm like, so you need a shirt? And he's like, yeah. I don't even know who he is or what he is. I've never heard of him in my life. And right. I guess I just put my old lady hat on there for a second. But yeah, it works on him for sure. Do you get into that stuff? You're slightly younger than I am.
I don't do the TikTok stuff, but I do think it's interesting when you see, the trends and you see these athletes. I remember when I was growing up, you would have shorts that would go down past your knee, and now I've never seen so many short shorts on people in my entire life, and I always kind of laugh because you look at the people of today, and it almost reminds me of like the basketball players of the 70s where they got the high socks and the super short shorts, and I remember 10 plus years ago looking at it and being like, man, how could they dress like that? And now. Man.
Tom Selleck in the 80s or 90s and like David Hasselhoff and stuff like that. Right. Like those guys rocked those short shorts and they were like the icons back then.
Yep.
And then you go through like the long phase and now the short shorts are coming and mustaches and mullets are all coming back. Yep. So I am sorry for you fellas, but actually I'm sorry for us. We have to look at it.
Yeah, well, I have to deal with it as well. But back and then the other thing, hairstyles, you had long hair and now you've got the fades and you've got this. So I mean it's kind of crazy when you see all the trends being picked up, and I think social media is a huge influencer on that as a whole.
Yes, the whole influencer thing, like even bringing
that's kind of a new concept.
Yeah, I would say probably the last 10 years or so. And I don't, again, not with my old lady hat, like I don't get it.
Right.
But They do, man. Those people make so much money off of just like, oh, I used this lip gloss this week, and all of a sudden that lip gloss is selling. I mean, it's kind of this Taylor Swift effect.
I think it's interesting, though, to see the new forms of advertising that are coming into play. And something that I want to talk about, and I think we're going to need in a separate podcast, so this is going to be kind of a lead-in to the next one, but is artificial intelligence influence.
My goodness, yeah.
They now have computers that are, or these programs that are able to generate images and generate words, and that was actually part of the writer's strike, was that, hey, we need to limit the use of this technology because it's going to be putting people out of jobs. So to me, that's kind of terrifying that in the future you could potentially have an advertisement that is perfectly tailored to exactly what you want or what you think to try to get you to purchase that product. So
I mean, they kind of do that stuff now. Like, I know that, everybody's always talked about it, but, where you'll be with someone and say, I don't drink Red Bull, but I'm talking to you about Red Bull. And all of a sudden Red Bull ads will start popping up on my social media and my phone.
It's because they're listening to you.
They're listening to us, obviously. And then there was like a big dispute on that. And some guy said, no, it's actually... when you sign up for like a Kroger, Walmart, Meijer, their loyalty program or whatever, it goes into all of your phone and your purchases and all that stuff. Yep. And then when you go around somebody else, it starts showing them basically in ads what you've bought, so that they'll be, it's a very strange phenomenon. So that you'll be like, hey, I just tried this new form of cheese, and I'm like, I love that cheese, and then everybody starts talking about it. So I'm sure it's more interesting than cheese, but cheese is pretty interesting.
Well, and I mean, even the Detroit Lions, they have a new technology in their stadium that is got cameras all around the stadium that is analyzing each specific section for demographic, gender, age, all of these different factors, and then what they're doing is they're using that data to specifically target ads. They're seeing, when are people looking at the field? When are people looking at the scoreboard?
Wow.
And then they take that information and they say, hey, sections, 100 through whatever, they're made up of this specific group of people, and they could tell that to companies and say, all right, if this is the group you're trying to advertise to, you're going to want to make sure that your ads are popping up in between plays on this part of the field. And then the other part of that is, they do giveaways for kids at the games, and they'll use this computer to analyze the crowd and say, okay, this section has the most kids in it, so that Rory, the mascot of the Lions, will be able to go to that section and do those giveaways, and he's maximizing the number of children or whatever that he's doing the giveaway for. So it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's even thinking about that's got me thinking about the fact that like that's somebody's job is to sit there and analyze all that stuff.
Yep.
And I mean, even here, a couple of years ago, we didn't have a social media marketing department.
Right.
We just saw that this was something that we needed to tap into, and now we've got a YouTube channel, and we've got all the social media pages. We've got a person, Andrew the Mandrew. Person is not even a word to describe. Who just takes care of all of that for us. Like, it created a job.
Right.
Because it's
job created.
Job created. Job
Boom.
excelled at. But yeah, it created a whole new faction of Malace HR just for us, where we get to be on social media. We get to have a podcast, for goodness sake. And so it's a level of marketing in and of itself. It might not be a commercial, but it's kind of showing who we are, and we appreciate that because we want to get that out there. Staffing companies aren't all boring and jerks.
Yeah, some of us are nice and exciting.
Some of us are nice and exciting.
Yeah, specifically. One person, no. But no, I think it's all great, and I think it's super interesting. That'll definitely be our next topic for our next podcast, but honestly, it's been great getting back into the saddle here. I'm feeling real good today.
Yeah. When are you not feeling real good?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Good feeling type of folk.
Yeah, I'm a good juju type of guy.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Good juju.
So, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, nice to be back next to your partner, and looking forward to what we can come up with for AI, because that's a lot.
100%. So make sure to join us next time for our podcast on artificial intelligence. Wow. This has been the Malace Cast. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, as well as our pages on Facebook Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We'll see you soon.
You've been listening to the Malace Cast, the official podcast of Malace HR. Don't forget to subscribe now to Malace TV, available on YouTube, and we'll see you on our next Malace Cast.